Test, test. Hey guys, this is Bruce. Welcome to Convocourses. I normally do these once a week, but today, special treat because I messed up yesterday. I'm doing another one today. So today, what I'm going to address is your topics. Anything you guys want to ask me about, I'm here. I'm here to answer questions about information technology, getting into cybersecurity, specifically governance, risk, and compliance, how I've been able to do it, some of the things I use to get into this field. I've been doing this for 20 years for the government and for the private sector. And I don't know everything, but I can tell you from the inside looking out how to get in here and if it's worth it and things like that. So, any questions that you have, I'm going to tell you the truth about this field. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's going to be very straightforward. And just like yesterday, I answer a whole bunch of questions. I'll do the same thing today, starting off with my YouTube questions. Let me see. Since I skipped YouTube yesterday, my main focus is going to be on YouTube. Okay, let me see. So let me get my I got a bunch of comments yesterday or throughout the weeks from YouTube, so I'm going to answer some of those directly. Um, Let me set that up. Presentation. Oh, question right away from Tariq. Is C-Risk marketable? Yes, it's definitely marketable. C-Risk is one of the top cybersecurity certifications. And C-Risk, for those of you who don't know, let me kind of give you a walkthrough of what C-Risk is. Let me show you. C-Risk is from an organization called ISACA, which is one of the top certification, cybersecurity certification organizations out there. So here it is right here. Here's ISACA's website. And C-Risk stands for Certified in Risk and Information System Controls. And I think it's, let me see. So I know a few of my peers have this one. IT governance, risk assessments, risk response and reporting, information technology security. So it's right in line with GR. This is a GRC certification for sure. And it's not just any GRC certification, it's one of the better, it's one of the top tier ones. Let me show you the marketability of this particular certification. I've thought about taking this one actually. C-Risk is right up there with it's right below, I would say, your your CISA. So let's first of all let me show you the progression of it. We're gonna go to security certification progression chart. I go here all the time because this dude just sums it all up. And this is at pauljeremy.com. I promote this dude a lot. I have no idea who this guy is. We're not friends or anything. I just really like his site. And so here's C-Risk right here. It's sitting up right below the CASP. And let me see, where's the CISA? Are they saying this is above a CISA? Yeah, they're saying this is above a CISA. Okay. Okay, C-Risk, I see you. So ISACA C-Risk, Certified in Risk and Information Systems Control. It's a $760 exam. C-Risk is right underneath expert level and right underneath the CASP plus, and it's in line with the CGRC apparently. So let me show you something else. Let's go to Indeed.com. I'm going to Indeed.com for those who are listening or can't see my screen, and I'm going to type in. So what I do here is to determine how many people want this job. Let me give you a sampling of what we're looking at. So let's say we were looking at CISSP. So I'm in Indeed.com. I typed in CISSP, and I want to see the marketability by looking at how many people have posted this jobs, how many organizations have posted this. So across the United States. So CISSP, there's 4,000 jobs. Now I didn't filter this by what time frames. Normally what you want to do is filter it by time frames. You don't want to just look at everything because most of these jobs are no longer available if you look at everything. So you want to do it like within the least last 30 days. But they're saying 4,000 jobs posted. That's a lot of people want the CISSP, people with the CISSP. Okay, I just do that to give you an idea of what is looking at by looking at a very, very popular certification. Now let me look at CISA to give you more context to what we're with the marketability of the certification. Now this one's 2,000. That tracks. It's 2,000 jobs. Job organizations who are looking for somebody with a CISA. And these pay pretty good. You're looking at $125,000 to $145,000 jobs across. I mean, and this one that's in Colorado Springs, but they've got some in Jackson. They got some in Chicago, Illinois, all over. 2,000 jobs. Now let's look at C-Risk. Now that we've looked at the top two most marketable cybersecurity certifications, let's look at C-Risk. C-Risk, unmistakable acronym. So we're not going to mistake that for anything else. 400 plus jobs. That's still pretty good. That's still pretty good. It's not up there with CISSP. It's not CISA marketable. It's probably not up there with Security Plus as far as marketability and people know what it is, but it's still pretty good. So C-Risk is pretty good. C-Risk is one of those certifications I've thought about getting, and some of my peers have had it. So I would say it's a pretty solid certification. And look at the jobs that you're seeing here. Cyber risk analyst, cyber risk assessment analyst, a information security analyst, a expert compliance and risk consultant. So these are GRC type jobs. And this one is an information security, AI, risk and governance, remote information system security officer. Oh, I used to work for this company right here. Yeah, they changed their name. I used to work for these guys overseas. This might be the overseas jobs. Let me see. It's remote though. Okay, no, it's not overseas. M&T Bank. That sounds familiar. That bank sounds familiar. Cybersecurity governance analyst. That's just weird, dude. That's one of my banks. Risk analyst 3. So these are all C-Risk jobs. All C-Risk jobs. So yeah, it's marketable and it's worth your time for sure. And everything they're saying on here is the truth. Like they're marketing the hell out of it. They're saying that it's number 4 top paying certification in the worldwide. Yeah, it's one of the top ones. I would say top. It's probably within the top 10 for sure of top certification you can get that are for marketability. 50%. It says 52% experienced on the job improvement, meaning they got paid more or whatever. So yeah, it's really marketable. It's a great certification. All right, let me see what else we got on YouTube. Let me see here. Perry says there are paid apprenticeships, RMF for first couple, then SOC on the job training. Man, am I not reading this right, or is this maybe I can't read? Okay, there are paid apprenticeships for a risk management framework, first couple, then SOC, which is Security Operations Center, on the job training. What's your thoughts through Denmark Tech College in partnership with Fusion? I've not heard of this partnership, and I'm trying to understand what you're saying here because the comments are a little bit choppy here. Are you saying that there's a paid apprenticeship that starts off as a paid apprenticeship for a risk management framework, then it goes into a SOC job? That's awesome if that's the case, and it's going through a college. That's what you're saying? Denmark Technical College is partnered with Fusion Cyber. That's awesome. My opinion is that if that's what you're saying, then that's awesome. You said Denmark. Let me look it up real quick, see if what you're talking about. All right, Technical College. Correct. Okay, let me see. Fusion Cyber. This is the exact type of thing I tell students to get into, these kind of programs. where you're getting your certification, you're getting your degree, but you're also a working student, or they have some kind of apprenticeship program. So the thing about apprenticeships and internships and stuff is that sometimes there's a component of it that will allow you to get hired. So they'll hire you. Like, not only are you getting paid and you're getting experience, you'll be able to level up whether they keep you or not, but they sometimes they have the intent of hiring you. So that's really, really good. That's the kind of thing you want from a college, and somebody who's an organization that's giving you all kinds of incentives to stay in this field. So as soon as you get that piece of paper, you already have experience. But here it is right here: Denmark Technical College cybersecurity program. And their program is right. I just saw it. They talked about Fusion. Oh, here it is right here. Fusion Center announces groundbreaking managed SOC initiative. So this is the partnership that they have with this organization to allow you to have an apprenticeship. Yeah, this is really good. This is the kind of thing that you want. These are the kinds of organizations where they're trying to set you up for success right from the beginning. This is the kind of stuff that you want: accelerated learning, and then they're setting you up for a job right when it's in Washington D.C. Yeah, this is excellent. This is excellent. This is what you want. This is the kind of stuff that I try to beat in students' heads, is to get something where it will allow you to get some training while you're in school, because the piece of paper is great, but they're not going to, in the interview, they're not going to ask you about that piece of paper. They're going to ask you about your experience. They're going to ask you what you did. That's the most important piece. So focus on that. That should be your main focus. Yes, go to college. Yes, get your certification, get a degree, all that kind of stuff. But make sure you get the experience in the form of labs, experience in the form of projects, and more importantly, you're getting into those apprenticeships where you're actually working for a company that has something to lose by you being there. Like, if you mess up their stuff, there's something that there's a give and take that's way bigger than just a project. There's more responsibility put in your lap if you're an intern or an apprentice, right? So this whole thing, this whole game is about leveling up. This whole thing is about leveling up. Wherever you are right now, even me, I've been doing this 20 years and I'm still leveling up. I still take this job so I can do the next thing. It's not always a job, to be honest with you. For me, it's about my time. So for me, the most precious thing, I'm an older dude, right? You guys are just starting out. Like, you can keep leveling up until you switch paths. I've done that. I've switched paths. I've been a manager. I've been a supervisor. I've done cybersecurity analyst work, which I loved. It was really fun. Um, I've done several different frameworks and things like that. But right now, what's more important to me now that I'm older is in my time. Like, I'm trying to get jobs, even if they pay me a little less, jobs that allow me to have extra time to do all these other things I want to do in my life. Or sometimes I'll get a job just because I want to travel more. I'll get a job, take a pay cut, just so because they allow me to travel overseas, because I want to travel. So this whole thing is about leveling up what you want to do in your life. Ask yourself right now, where do you see yourself in 5 years? In 5 years from now, where do I see myself? And do not compromise what you want. All right. It's okay to dream big, because if you fall short of $100 million, even if you made 0.100, 0.001 of that goal, that huge goal that you have for 5 years from now, that's bigger than, not setting a goal at all. Look at yourself in 5 years. Where do you want to be? What I found is, over time, I've been, I've found myself dialing things in better, where I used to have these crazy outlandish goals and go for it, and then find out I get halfway there or a portion of the way there, and I'm like, this is not even what I want to do. In the beginning, give you an example, I want to be a programmer. Then when I found out more about IT, I was like, I don't like programming. I just don't like it. I don't care for it, and I'm not good at it. It's like an artist. Like, I just don't have, I can do it. I have the capacity to do it. I don't like it. I'm not very good at it. And if I throw myself at a project, it'll take me 3 months to develop something that somebody else takes 3 days to do. And I'm like, okay, maybe this one's not for me. You know what I mean? So programming was the first thing I was so fascinated by. Tried it a little bit and I was like, this is not for me. You know, I liked it. Then I did networking. Man, I freaking love networking. I freaking loved it. To this day, I'm fascinated. It's really cool. But it's again like it didn't pay, what I thought I should be being paid. So I had to switch it up. So it just you make a 5 year goal. Picture yourself 5 years from now where you want to be, and then start marching towards that goal. Maybe you don't even want to do IT. Use IT as a stepping stone. Get paid and do this other thing you want to do, right? Use the money to get paid to do this other thing you want to do. You want to be a fashion designer. You want to make your own store. You want to buy your mom a house, in 5 years. Whatever it is, use information technology, use cybersecurity to attain this goal that you have. It's all about steps, one step in front of the other, and then you'll get there. Okay, next, let me see. I got some stuff on TikTok. Um, Damn, maybe I do these on Sundays. I'm getting a lot of people jumping on here. You guys have more free time on Sundays or something? What's going on? Let me see. I got an associate's in computer science and a security plus trying like hell to get a foot in the door. No luck. Tony, so if you still happen to be on, answer me real quick this question. Do you have any experience whatsoever doing IT? Do you have any experience connecting networks? Do you have labs? Do you have like what is your actual experience in this field? Do you have any experience at all? Not just certifications. Have you put your own network together? Can you take a computer apart, put it back together? Or have you been messing around with Kali Linux tools? What do you do? It's an important question because what you do is going to indicate where you can go from here. Not just the certification. The piece of paper is not magic. It's when you get in the interview, they're going to ask you what you do, what your experience is. It all comes down to that. I'm just being real with you, 100% real. Okay, and she seems like he's gone, so I'm gonna go on to the next one. Um, there's a bank. There's a bank in networking. You have to find the right gig and no job hops. Okay, is there anything to improve cyber GRC skills similar to how Hack the Box is for pen testing? I get this question often enough to make me think to myself, maybe I should create this thing because there's nothing I've seen except for very expensive. No, I have not seen anything like this. I know that there's some teachers that will go out to your site, but even them, I don't know that they do any kind of like hands-on hack the box type stuff for GRC. Um, I've been thinking about doing something more interactive. In fact, me and some other instructors got together and we started putting together something like that. It was a lot of work, like just to even do one module, and then they bailed on me. They bailed on me. They got busy. They got jobs. So no, to answer your question, there is nothing. However, what you could do is a combination of things because GRC is very broad field. It's not just doing documentation. The G stands for governance, the R stands for risk, and the C is for compliance. So you break all those down. Hack the box is the closest thing to the R, which is risk assessments. R is for risk assessments, risk management, all things risk-based for an organization. So pen testing is a part of conducting a risk assessment and getting down to the bottom of risk management. So hack the box is a part of GRC. Correction, is a part of GRC. What I've been thinking about doing something interactive that kind of wraps your head around all GRC because I think that a lot of times people don't see the big picture, and so they think that cybersecurity is one thing, but it ends up being kind of another thing. What I mean is, if you pull back from an organization's overall security, it's not just firewalls, right? It's Give you an example. Like the other day, a few days ago, CrowdStrike did some misconfiguration. Like it was just a mishap. It's it's a common incident that happens in all organizations. A mishap is where there's somebody configures something wrong. It's a misconfiguration. An error was made, and it brought some systems down. It brought a lot of systems down. Airports, schools. I mean, our pay system went down at my job. Like it affected a lot of things. And CrowdStrike is like a malware detection software that sits in the kernel in the on the operating system of Windows Azure. That's the agent. It's actually they actually have an agent for all kinds of operating systems, but the one that got misconfigured was the one that sits on Windows Azure boxes, and so many people around the world use Windows Azure because it's a very good platform, right? It's very useful, it's very easy to use, very easy to configure and set up, and they use CrowdStrike agent in order to monitor the cybersecurity. Well, they misconfigured it, and when they loaded it, brought the whole systems down. So the lesson learned here in GRC is like where they could have the people who weren't affected were the ones who actually tested it before they put it in production. They put it in a testing environment, made sure it didn't break anything, and then put it in or said, nope, we're not putting this out there. We're going to reach back to the vendor, CrowdStrike, and see why the system, we can't get this thing to work, and we don't know what we're doing wrong. Turns out it was misconfigured. So that's part of governance, risk, and compliance. It's making sure that the processes of the organization are secure. And how would you go about making that interactive? What I had in mind was I would be a CEO, and then you guys are the information system security officer. You are the compliance officer, and I'm talking to you like you're like I'm the CEO, and the kind of meetings that I have. So then you have to respond in the appropriate way. So that's what I had in mind, but that's going to take me a while to create. So I haven't done that. But there's definitely I've gotten several people asking for the amount of time that I have to do something like that. I'm not even sure what I would charge or how I would go about doing it. Um, but I have thought about it. I have a bachelor's in information security, cyber security, experience in forensics and file signatures. Well, that's awesome. So you sound like you're more of you can go different directions. You can go be a data forensics guy. You can be a GRC person doing policy, or you can do cybersecurity analyst work. All right, let me see here. Got some more questions, comments on here. I missed it. What do you do to get experience? Just broke into IT at 33. Any advice for a help desk role? So let me answer this first question first. Xavier Mathis says, "I missed it. How do you get it? How do you get experience?" Um, Man, I answer this question a lot, and I'm not even sure who hears me. I'm not sure if anybody implements what I'm saying. I'm not sure if you're a window shopper. I get a lot of people like that on here. Um, I'm not sure who listens. So that's why it's like, but there's a few different ways. I always say start where you are. If I knew where you were, I could tell you where to go from here. I could tell you if you're a student, what you want to do is do something that's involving. You want your major to be something in computers, but if it's not, at least do something in STEM. That's science, technology, engineering, mathematics. And then while you're in school, while you're getting your degree, um, start doing work for the school if you can, be a working student, or do an internship or an apprenticeship if they have those programs there. Because that way, while you're getting your degree, you're getting experience. So that's how you do it as a student. That includes high school. If you're in high school, you want to do projects. I would do some freelance work. I would aim for doing a major in college. I would actually, you at some point, what you want to do is do the work while you're in school, so that you can put that on your profile on LinkedIn. You can put that on your profile in Dice. You can put it everywhere. You put your actual experience on there, because that's what they're going to ask you when they're looking for, when they're trying to hire you. When these upper level organizations are trying to hire you, they're going to ask for what you've done. Now, let's say you're not in school. You're not a high school student. You're not a college student. You're not university. Nothing like that. And you happen to be working retail, or you're working retail. You're working healthcare. You're working financial sector. You're in one of these sectors. So all of these sectors, no matter what it is, has IT, has some kind of, all of them have a point of sale device, they have a database, they have a computer that they're using, they have something to manage their information. Find out who and what department in your organization that you work at is doing the IT. You might be able to do a lateral change at your job into the IT department. You'd be surprised. That's what I did. That's how I did it. I made a lateral change in the organization I was in, and I was able to upgrade into IT. So now the problem comes in if you don't have none of that. You're not a student, you don't have a job, you nothing. You not even had a job before. How do you start from there? How do you, or maybe whatever job you're at, they don't have an IT department, or you couldn't get in there. So now what do you do? How do you get in from there? Now, the number one thing is to get the knowledge. It's going to be the first thing you got to do is become a geek. Like, you're going to have to sit down and attain all the knowledge that's required to do this work. There's no IT jobs that don't require you to have basic knowledge in IT. There's not a single one that I can think of. Um, is it possible? Perhaps. But you're going to have to get the information. How do you now? Your first question should be, how do I get the information? I'll start off for free, because a lot of y'all, this is going to weed a lot of people out, because a lot of people don't want to do this work. You can get paid. It's stable through all environments. It doesn't matter who's president. It doesn't matter what administration. It doesn't matter what. You can go to another country and do this kind of stuff. It's very stable, but there's a cost. And the cost is your time and your money and your energy to actually learn. There's a huge learning curve to the information that you have to learn. You have to learn the basics of information technology. Now, if you know nothing, if you have no experience, you don't build labs, you're not a geek, nothing, where you can start is YouTube. Do it for free. There's tons of free resources out there that you can use right now. Go on there and look for people who are doing IT and get pick their brain for what it's like to do this work, because you might not want to do it. And once you go through it and you're like, yeah, okay, this is still what I want to do. I want to be a software engineer. I want to be a network guy. I want to be do all this stuff. The next thing is going to be to learn the common body of knowledge. You can find it in things like the CompTIA A plus, which has a great breakdown of how to go about this. A school, really, college is probably the best place you can do, because it gives you time. You have all kinds of networking that you can start contacting people of like-minded people who are going the same direction as you. They got internships, all this kind of stuff. If you have the resources to do it, then college. But if you don't, then CompTIA A plus is a place where you can go and start to learn everything that you need. You can learn it all online. Start collecting all the information and learn it. You got to get a solid foundation, not just with the knowledge, but the skills. Like, you should actually set up a lab, set up your own network. If you're being a programmer, start doing programming. Start actually doing the work first. Once you have the job, you're a geek. Once you have the knowledge down, then you can start looking for local work and looking for somebody who will hire you. It's not going to be easy, especially if you don't have a degree. You don't have a, you don't have a. You're gonna have to at least have a GED. Most organizations at least want that, a high school equivalent, and then go for one of those field tech one. They're not always called help desk jobs. Sometimes it's called a customer technical support. Sometimes you're just on the phone walking people through like a script of things to do, to turn off the router, turn it back on. But those jobs is where you're going to start. From there, you're going to start learning. You're continuing to learn IT, but you're also doing it, and that will allow you to level up. You do that for about 6 to 8 months to a year. Now you have experience and you can level up. You probably want to level up in that organization you're at and then start building from there. Hope that helps. Let me see. Got some more stuff on YouTube. I'm not going to be on here too long, guys. Excuse me. I already did this yesterday. Tariq says, will you be at GovTechCon in December, hosted by Simone Bees? No, absolutely not. No. I don't live on the East Coast. I believe she would be doing that on the East Coast. I want to say I don't know nothing about GovTechCon. I know who Simone Bees is, but I mean, I've never met her or anything like that, but I've seen her content. But no, I will not be at that. I'll be too busy doing my own stuff. Therese says, how do you feel about WGU Cybersecurity Master's Program? I work in IT in the Army, so that will cover the experience piece. WGU, I've heard good things about. It seems like the pricing is pretty good. I want to say it's like a, what do you call it? An advanced, accelerated course where you're going through it really fast to knock out, to get that master's degree. And it's an accredited college. Yeah, I mean, I think it's good. They're not gonna, when you get hired, they're not looking at, man, did this guy go to Yale? This guy go to MIT? Like, that's great if you did, like, that's awesome. But they just want to know that it's an accredited college. Most jobs, I'm sure there's some out there, that they're looking for somebody who used to be a student at MIT or Stanford or Yale or one of these Ivy League, whatever college, Howard, Brown, whatever. I don't know the names, but usually they just want to know that you went to an accredited college. And WGU is an accredited college, and I've heard that the pricing's good. I haven't heard any bad things about it, so yeah, I think it's good. I have some friends who graduated from there, and they didn't have nothing bad to say about it. And actually, a lot of people on here come on here and say, yeah, WGU was good. I got my degree from there. So yeah, I think it sounds good. Let me see. Super Real said, wow, I found my people. Let me see. Which Dooster says, which one I just got here? Okay, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm trying to find GRC jobs again. What kind of GRC are you looking for? Because remember, every industry has GRC. So there's kind of like different flavors of it. I'm doing GovTech GRC, so I can tell you all about that. But I have done the private sector as well. Each one of them hangs on a certain. They have different standards, different frameworks, and different regulations. The healthcare sector has their own regulations that they have to abide by. The retail sector has their own regulations and standards they have to abide by, and the government has theirs. And this is all based off of the type of information and the type of the type of mission or business that they do. It's based off of it also is based off of the types of attacks that happen on them. You said private sector GRC, preferably government compliance analyst role. Yeah, okay. So I did do private sector for a bit, and we did a lot of GRC there. And mainly the ones I'm more familiar with is a little bit of healthcare sector and retail and manufacturing. Those are the ones I have a direct contact with. And what you're going to want to do to get your foot in the door in the GRC positions in the private sector is you want to be familiar with whatever governance, risk, and compliance that governs them. Right now, I'm doing security operations, and I'd rather do GRC. Okay. So you want to put on your resume. So this right now, your next play is resume. You got to market yourself. So if you I would figure out like what industry you're in. What actual industry? Are you in the hotel restaurant management industry? Are you in retail? Are you in healthcare? Are you in financial sector? Whatever sector you're in, you're gonna want to put. What I would do if I were you is on my resume. I would put the. Let's say I worked in healthcare, so I'd want to put HIPAA. HIPAA is one of the main things that they use across all healthcare facilities, and including pharma. So if I worked in that sector, I would put in there things about HIPAA that I helped write HIPAA policies, that I helped write IT, uh, HIPAA-based IT security operating procedures. I would do all that kind of stuff. So what you want to do, because you know this stuff. You said, yes, I'm thinking of targeting healthcare HIPAA. So if that's what you've done in the past, especially if that's what you've been doing, like if you worked in the healthcare sector, whether it was an actual hospital or a medical, wherever you happen to be, focus on the things that you did for that sector. And what you want to do is get very smart on HIPAA. I would go and read the laws on HIPAA, and what you'll see, especially if you've been doing IT for some time, is it'll just start to click. For example, they talk about protecting privacy. If you've been in IT for some time, you've done some level of privacy protection before. So it's going to be that part of HIPAA is going to be very familiar to you. But they use specific keywords that you have to be familiar with, and that's why I say you need to go and read up on HIPAA if you're not in that sector, like if you're not, or even if you are in the sector, you need to get smart enough on it to start to put on your resume what keywords and key phrases that they want to see. Now, if you want an example of this, here's what I would do if I were you. There's a couple things. Let me show you a couple things that I would do if I were you. And for those who are watching me, I'm about to prep something on the screen here, and I'll read it to you bit by bit. All right, so there's a couple certifications that I would highly advise you to work for. Put them on your resume right now and say you're working on it. Of course, you should be working on it. And we're going to go to LinkedIn. Gonna steal some stuff off LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great resource. And I'm going to type in healthcare IT jobs. Nope, people. Okay. Now check this out. All right. So let's say you were going into healthcare. Here's what I would do if I was going into healthcare. So first of all, you should probably be aware of a certification. I talked about this yesterday a bit. Called it's from the ISC2 squared, ISC2. So if you just go to Google isc2.org, ISC2, India Sierra Charlie 2.org, and look for a healthcare certification. Why ISC2? So ISC2 is one of the premier top certification bodies in the world. They've got a few of the top 10 certifications, most popular, he said, I just got an associate of ISC2 passing the CISSP, but I don't have the experience yet. Yeah, cool. So you know what that is. That's good. So what I'm directing you to do, since you're trying to go into healthcare, I'm assuming that you've done some healthcare work or whatever, is go check out it's called the HCISPP. So this right here, it's also, the name is brilliant because it sounds like the CISSP. So what they're trying to do here is brand it so that it has that same gravitas as the CISSP, which is like the gold standard of cybersecurity certifications. Does it deserve that? Whole nother conversation. But for now, it's the cream of the crop for marketability. As far as marketability is concerned, it's the cream of the crop. CISSP is no joke. But now, if you want to go to healthcare, there's one called the HCISPP. It's Healthcare Security Certification. It stands for Healthcare Information security, and privacy practitioner. Now, this is, mind you, this is just for one industry. Every industry has their own gold standard. If you go in the financial sector, they have probably the CISA, CISSP, and like C risk are the ones that they look for a lot. If you're in the government sector, definitely CISSP, but it depends on what you're doing. Like if they like the CEH and they like OSCP for like your pen testers. They have different parts within each sector. What I'm trying to get at is each sector has different things you want to focus on. So this one, healthcare, a really good certification for you to go for is the Healthcare Information Security and Privacy Practitioner. And look at these domains. You got healthcare industry, domain 1. Domain 2, information governance in healthcare. Domain 3, information technology in healthcare. Domain 4, regulatory and standard environment. This is GRC stuff for healthcare. This is going to help you get your foot in the door for this and also put you above the pack. It's got a few other things. All of it is GRC based for healthcare. It's gonna, once you put this on your resume, what I would do right now is, first of all, start working on it. And then on your resume, stay working on the HCISPP. You're not telling a lie. You're literally working on getting this certification. And you can also say, you said you're an associate, put that on there too. So that's what I would do. Another thing you want to do is go to LinkedIn, type in healthcare IT, and look at other people's profiles. The reason why you're doing this is to see what kinds of keywords that they put on their profile and on their resumes. Very, very important, because these GRC professionals they're already dialed into this. So you want to use their language to dial your own profile in. I keep saying profile and resume. I'm using those interchangeably, but there is a difference. Your resume is going to be ATS style document. If you don't know what ATS style is, just Google ATS style resume. It'll break it down. So it's a very simple resume that doesn't use any flashy words. It doesn't have any flashy graphics. It's a very basic resume. But the format that they use is the format of that resume allows it to be pulled in and parsed in the databases of Fortune 500 and Fortune 1000 companies. That's why ATS style resume is very important. So you want an ATS style resume, and you want to put these keywords, the keywords that you find on these other people's resumes. You want to put that stuff on there. You want to put that you're working on the HCISPP. And now, right now, I'm looking at other people's profile, and I put in healthcare, and I'm looking for some of the keywords on their resume. I'll just read a couple here. All right, kind of click the first one, and I don't think it was very good, so I'm going to the next one. So this gentleman, Mr. Boyer, he's got a CISSP. He's got all the certifications. He's got all the certifications. But that's not why he came up number one on my healthcare search. He came up number one because one of the jobs he had, I think currently he's working as a IT director at the Healthcare Alliance. So because he worked at a healthcare facility, he's coming up as number one. So that is a key word, that you worked. If you actually work, this is why I said focus on whatever industry you're in, because just working in that industry alone is a key word, is a key phrase that once you put on your resume, it's going to get lit up by technical recruiters. So focus on whatever industry. If you want to see, the thing is, if you happen to be in manufacturing and you like, I don't want to be in this industry, I want to go into healthcare, focus on whatever industry you're in, get that job, get paid, and then be working towards getting in cross training into this other industry. For now, focus in, dial in on whatever industry you're in. Suck it up, do the work, level up in that one, and then cross train over to another one, healthcare or whatever. So yeah, a lot of his jobs have been in healthcare. He's got Texas Healthcare and Human Commission. He's got it's a lot of healthcare positions. So that's why he came up as number one. Let me look at one more and then I'll move on. So Derek Bell, let's see, this guy's also healthcare IT. So Health, if you've ever worked in healthcare, huge. That's going to be huge on your resume. So that's kind of what you want to do. So I hope that helps you. All right, I'm gonna move on to some other questions here that popped up. Going on over to YouTube. Techie Rav says, are there any labs for assessing security controls? Labs for assessing security controls. We were just talking about this. There's not a lot of like GRC, governance, risk, and compliance online labs you can take that I know of, like Hack the Box, or that you could just sign up for some site and then they walk you through exactly what you're supposed to do, or give you challenges or something like that for assessments, or for creating documents, or handling disgruntled CEOs or something like that, or assessing controls. But what you could do is set up your own lab. What you could do is, what I did was I used VMware, and I created a Windows 7 box or whatever, right? Windows 10, whatever box. And then I ran what's called a security technical implementation guide viewer, a STIG viewer, against that box. So you could set up a virtual system. This is what I did. I set up a virtual system on my computer, and then I ran vulnerability scanners against it to see like what kinds of ports are open, and what wasn't locked down, what kinds of things does this port scanner see. You can also put credential scanners on there. They've got some that you can do for free for like 7 days, 14 days, something like that. Like I think Tenable Nessus you can get for 14 days. But they've got other scanners that are free that you can use, and to determine the effectiveness of the security controls on a system. You can set up a system, run scans on it, and then it'll give you some idea of what the assessment is. I mean, it'll give you the raw data, and then you have to make an assessment based off of your findings. So that's something you can do. But is there one out there? No, like I don't know of any. There's probably some private contractors out there who will come to your site and do it for $300 billion, but I'll walk you through a lab or something for a lot of money, but none that are, I haven't seen a commercialized one for the masses yet. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Somebody might know of one. Perry says it's a 6-month apprenticeship with 2 months risk management framework, last 4 months of SOC hands-on, then fully opportunity for a job. Man, that's freaking incredible, man. So Perry just told me about this college. You guys got to see this. This is something special right here. This is exactly what I'm talking about. If you can do something like this. What was it called? Dutch University. It's called Denmark University. Let me see what you guys got to see this. Something called Denmark University. You don't have to go specifically to this school, but this type of program is kind of what you want to do. Let me show you my screen. For those of you who are late, who haven't seen this, we talk about this. Perry asked me about whether or not this program was good. I read about it. I've never seen this college before. I don't know if it's accredited, but look at this program. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Denmark Technical College Cybersecurity Program. They have a program that's linked to this fusion. It's got these fusion centers that's breaking down risk management framework and SOC, which is Security Operations Center initiatives. And then you go through this program, you have an apprenticeship, and at the end of it, you have an opportunity possibly to have a job at this place. This is the kind of program, if you can get something like this, that's exactly what you want to do. Something like this is what you want to do. A program like this. They have these kind of things where sometimes I'll have one where you get your degree, bachelor's degree, associate's degree, master's, whatever. But at what they also have is labs that will help you to get your CISSP or cloud certification. So you have your one by the time you're done, you have your degree, you have a cloud certification, and maybe you have working students. You've been a working student, so you can put that on your resume. So this right here is boosting you all the way up. This is as soon as you're done, like you're not done, you've just leveled up, but the college helped you get directly into pipeline directly into this organization. So that's if you can find something like this is ideal. That's one of the best things you could do. Let me see here. Armani says use your own network, set up an OS, install Stig Viewer, Nessus, and then download the Stigs and document. So this is how you might do a lab to do security assessments. This is the kind of stuff that I would do. Another thing I would do is I would set up a system I knew was had all kinds of holes in it. Like I'd use an old version of Windows, like Windows 95 or something. I get a version of Windows. You can find them. They're out there. You gotta watch out. Some of them have virus already in them. Like some of them are rootkits and shit. So that's why I put it in a virtual environment. So you put in a virtual environment. That's right there alone, like learning what a virtual environment is and setting that up on your system and making a network on your computer. That whole thing, setting up the lab itself, is gonna be a journey. But once you get to that point where you have a lab on your computer or you set it up on your network, whatever, right? You what I would do is I would have a Windows 95 box and then just expose it to the internet to see how fast it got hacked. Then what I would do is I would put Windows 95 on the box, no firewall, no protection whatsoever. And then I just start going downloading screensavers. I'd start going to all kind of nefarious sites, downloading stuff on the system. Now it's in a virtual environment, so it's not going to protect. It's not going to mess up my system or my network. It's trapped in this virtual environment. And I would see all this stuff to happen. You'd have all these crazy pop-ups. It'll have viruses on it. It would have all kinds just from going. This is what people actually do in real life. They'll have a system. They don't have a password. They don't have a username, password. They just log onto their system. And back in the day, Windows would by default be completely have no security. Now Windows forces you to have certain level of security. So that's why there's a lot less of these crazy hacks happening, like on people's boxes. It used to be a lot more. Like they're still happening, but it used to be a lot more because out of the box it had zero security. But now they have some pretty good security when you first log in. So that's good when you first like install the system. Anyway, so what I would do is I would put a system with no security on it. Go on the internet, download screensavers, go to nefarious sites, have all these viruses on it, and then I'd find the virus and then I would reverse engineer it. I would see like, okay, how did it get in? What was the attack vector? How how can I get rid of it? And I would practice getting rid of malware. Um, I would write these articles about how to remove it, step by step how to remove it. But this was like in the early 2000s. So it's kind of been done to death now. I mean, I think there's this site called bluebeat.com, and then there's another one called Tom's Hardware that was they'd always show me up. But I had my own site, and I would research it and like do all these breakdowns of how to get rid of them and stuff like that. That's how I started learning, and then I learned how to secure systems. What I learned was a lot of the malware, even today, it's using whatever account you're on. So if you surf the internet with an admin account on your most important system, and some malware gets down, you download something that these days you have to click something and it's going to download to your system and it's going to run in the background, right? So if you're doing that with your admin account, that's the fastest way to get owned. So one of the things you can do is make sure you're not surfing the internet with an admin account. there's a standard account that has limited control, limited privileges, and then there's an admin account that has all the privileges. That's how you download things. That's how you have all the permissions on your. Don't surf the internet with your admin account. Surf it with the standard account. And if you have to download something, then use your system account, your admin account to download and install or whatever you got to do. But do not surf the internet with that. So those are some of the things you can do for a lab. And Armani's talking about it here. It's like he basically broke it all down. Other things that you could do to do your own, create your own labs for assessing security controls. Let me see here. I have a bachelor's degree, but want to make a transition. What's the best route for school? I'd have to know what your bachelor's degree is, what direction you're trying to go. Thunder says, can you get a job in cybersecurity only having strong knowledge in Python, no cybersecurity focus? Python is if you have a really strong knowledge of Python, you could probably get it. You could probably land a job. Now, what you probably want to do is have a demonstration of what you can do with Python. Maybe put some stuff on GitHub that you've created. You're going to have to show your work with programming. Especially if you don't have no experience whatsoever, you could probably get a job with Python. If nothing else, you can be a freelancer with Python. Hell, I will pay you. I will pay you. I will give you a job if you know Python. I've got several shit you could do for Python. Python's the shit. Python is a scripting language that's currently being used a lot with AI, machine learning. It's used a lot with cybersecurity. So Python is extremely useful. So the answer is absolutely yes. You could, even if you can't find a job after you do everything I just said, like put all your scripts and all your work on GitHub and be able to show your work and make sure you do an ATSL resume and put your stuff on Dice and on Monster and on LinkedIn. Copy other people. You don't know how to do it, what to do. Copy other people's profile who are popular on there and then do what they're doing. Copy what they're doing. So you do all that stuff. Let's say you still can't find a job. What you could do is go on. There's several places you can go. You can go to Upwork.com. You can go to Fiverr.com. And then you put your pricing of what by the hour, how much you want people to pay you for your work. You determine whatever wage you want. Depending on what your skill level is and what you're doing for people, you probably want to have a pricing tier. Like if somebody wants a script they want you to fix, maybe you charge very little. Fiverr doesn't mean you just charge $5. I mean, most of the people I pay on $5, I'm paying them hundreds of dollars, right, to do basic work. So yeah, you can go to Upwork, you can go to Fiverr. I think there's a few other sites you can go to where people are looking for people to write scripts in Python. Python is one of those skill sets that if you know it, I don't know why you don't have money yet. And I'm being completely serious with you. Let me see. I'm going through some more questions here and comments. Not going to be on here long, guys. How did you get a remote job with your security clearance? That is a great question, Tariq. So there are jobs. I'll give you a specific example. When I first got out of the military with my clearance, I was a field tech. It wasn't remote, but we traveled a lot, and there was no way we were working with secret information, so there's no way we could do that. And this was back in like early 2000s, so it wasn't as much remote work. Then I started had some friends or whatever who did do remote work, and I was curious. I'm like, man, I got 2 kids at home. You know, I want to spend more time with them. Like, how can I do remote work? At the time, somebody reached out to me. They found me on my website. I used to have a blog, like a not super popular blog, but I made some money off that blog talking about this kind of stuff right here, but I was just writing stuff. Somebody contacted me and they hired me for doing remote work. It was a teaching job. And all the stuff I'm teaching you guys, I was teaching risk management framework basically. They didn't call it that. It was called DIACAP. It was called certification and accreditation. It was old stuff. But so I was teaching that, and I was remote, but I was working. I was traveling probably, man, 65%, 75%, which basically means I was never home. So I didn't have an office I went to. I just would travel to all the sites. And if anything, what I learned there was that if first of all, not all remote jobs are equal. So there's different kinds of remote jobs. I'm just talking about my very first one. It lasted 1 year and I did a lot of travel. If something is 55% travel, that means it basically is 70% travel. If something is 60% travel, it's like 100% travel because there's travel days in between and you got to get ready and all that kind of stuff. So it was a lot of travel, but it wasn't my first remote job. It did not require a security clearance. I did that for 1 year. I retained my security clearance, an inactive security clearance, and then I got hired for back to the Army. None of that was remote. I mean, none of that. Yeah, none of that was remote. I was home, not home a lot. So once I was done with that, I retained my security clearance and I started working for NASA. All right, now here comes the good part. I worked for NASA. They required me to have a security clearance, and they had remote work. So what I'm trying to tell you is it exists. There are government organizations that require you to have retain your clearance, and they most 90% of the work is remote. And if they need you to do any kind of secret stuff, any kind of cleared work, you have to come into the office. Now, in our office, when I worked at NASA, we had we had a whole group of people who would do all the cleared stuff. So I never touched that environment. I was working on the unclassed side, and so all my work was documentation based. I was doing plan of action and milestones. I was doing system security plans. I was sitting in meetings for unclassed systems, not for. I didn't have nothing to do with the classified systems. They had them, but they were like another unit was doing those. So I'm trying to think of another thing to take note of is not all. Some organizations just require you to get what's called a public trust. A public trust is not a security clearance. People really confuse this. Most cybersecurity jobs will have a security background check, but they can do it, but that doesn't mean it's a security clearance. Does that make sense? They all are going to do some kind of a background check, but not all of those background checks are a what's called an SSBI. I don't remember what the sensitive investigation background whatever check that leads to a clearance like a secret or whatever. So to answer your question, you can get a remote job doing secret with a secret clearance. Not all cybersecurity jobs require you to have a secret clearance, a security clearance of any kind. A public trust is not a security clearance. So I hope that I don't know if that cleared it up or whatever. So, but the answer is yes, you can do it. How I did it was I just applied for jobs. They're out there. They do exist. What I did was like I applied for a lot of jobs, and you can do the same. There's nothing special except my tenacity. The only thing I have over most people is that I don't give up. I work hard. I'm patient. I'm not. There's nothing else I can say that's special. Unfortunately, it sucks. I thought I was super special when I was younger. It turns out I'm not, But you don't have to be special to have a good life. Just just got my CASP, currently help desk, not sure exactly what to do next. You want to get more money. Okay. So what you want to do next, you have a CASP, you currently help desk. What you want to do is specialize in something. So it depends on where you want to specialize. But once you have a CASP, so that's a professional level certification. It's right up there with CISSP. So hopefully that's on your resume because you are now highly marketable. What you probably want to do is take one aspect of your career and focus on it. Have you done any cloud? Have you done any security whatsoever, cybersecurity stuff in your help desk job? You probably touched some of this stuff, but I would say, what can you really lean into on your resume? Whatever that is, focus on that. But what you could do is take like a shotgun approach. Like you've done some cloud, put that shit on your resume. Put that shit. If you have an AWS, put that on your resume. If you've done FedRAMP, if you've done any kind of cloud risk management, if you've done anything at all with cloud, if you've set up cloud instances, whatever it is, put it on your resume because cloud is super hot and people are looking for it nonstop. There's just not enough people who know how to do the work. Another one is cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is not just pen testing. It's not just security operations center. It's not just security incidents. It's information security includes many things that you have already done that you currently probably do at your job. You just got to articulate it on your resume. Have you participated in scanning? Have you ran the scanners? Have you done scan analysis, meaning you got the report and you're looking through it and you have to figure out like how to fix whatever's going on, or if it's a false positive or whatever. If you've done any of that, if you participated in any kind of assessment, including the person who's answering the questions for the assessment, you want to put that on there. You could put participated in X, Y, and Z assessment. That means you can get an organization through an assessment. So that's important. If you've looked at logs, event logs, that's huge for GRC stuff. Like that's going to get you paid. So you just not focusing on the right things. Make sure the CASP is on your resume for sure. Put that on the top right after your name. Dino Black, comma, CASP. That's your new name. Put that on your resume. Also post it everywhere. Once you get your resume tight, an ATS style resume, you want to upload it to Dice, Monster, Indeed, LinkedIn at the very least. At the very least, I would recommend you do 10 to 12 different sites. Put it everywhere. Spam it. But make sure your resume is good first. Like I said, the big payers are going to be cybersecurity, any kind of experience you've had with cybersecurity, not just pen testing, scanning, looking at event logs, writing SOPs, participating in writing policies, training is a big one. Cloud is hot as hell. Any kind of cloud knowledge that you have, any kind of cloud skills that you have, put that on there. And management, that's another one that's going to get you paid. So all those things need to be on your resume. Now you have the experience. The hard part's over. What you need to do now is market yourself. That's what you need to do. Let me see. What do cyber analysts do essentially? So cyber analyst, something I did a while ago. It's one of my specialties back in the day. I haven't done it in a very long time, but I can show you a couple things that they do on a day-to-day basis. Let me show you. This is what they do. They sit in a chair like this and they stare at a screen. That's what they do all day long. So what they're looking for is usually shift work, and they have to be very well versed at what's called network analytics and network security, network analytics, where you're looking at network analysis. Oh my Lord. Network analysis, what you're doing is looking at all the packets that are coming into the network and going out of the network. And they'll use a tool like this called ArcSight. And I don't think it's called ArcSight anymore. They got bought like 2 or 3 times. They used to be the top of the line. Now it's really Splunk. They use, what I'm trying to say is they use something called, you'll use a tool, you use all these different tools called IPSs, you know, intrusion protection systems, intrusion detection systems. You'll use SIEM technology, which is security information event managers. You'll use all kinds of tools, but what's more important than the tools is your skill set. So your skills are going to have to include something like network traffic analysis, like this. Network traffic analysis is one of the skills you're going to have. That's like looking at the packets as they're coming in, looking at the data as it's coming into the network, and what is it doing on the network? Is it supposed to be doing? Is it supposed to have that level of volume? What you're looking at for is like anomalies. You're looking for things that look like a denial of service attack. You're looking for things that look like a malware. You're looking for things like that. And so other tools that you'll have to use is like TCP dump. Let's look through this, my old documents here. Like you'll have to use things like this, TCP dump, which is going to look at all the actual, it's going to break down the packet and then look at that kind of stuff. Another thing you might have to do is be very well versed at things like this. Snort. So Snort is an intrusion detection application. So that's another thing you're going to have to do. In those hours and hours of sitting in front of your screen, looking at the matrix code going across the screen, you have to look at that data and figure out what's supposed to be there and what's not supposed to be there. So that's it. That's what you'll do. And it's one of the things that I had to learn when I did that. Do you have your CISSP? Yes. Yep. I've had it for quite some time now. Have the CISSP. It's been very good to me. Let me see. Let me see. Have you ever been the ISO for a company? That's the information system owner. And how was it? I was offered an ISO with the local government and will be their first ISO working with the security analyst. Do you mean information? We call it in the current Java map and in the NIST documentation, an ISO is an information system owner. But you might be, I know in the other sectors, an ISO is an information security officer. So which one is it? I have to know which one it is. I could speak to both, but if you're talking about an information system owner, so what they do is they're like the representative of the system itself. Whatever, they'll usually be assigned to one system, right? So a system is officer. Okay, information security officer. Information security officer. So, okay, while he explains that, an information system owner is they're the representative of a system. So system is like a bunch of, sometimes it's one computer, sometimes it's one server, but it can be, a system can be a whole bunch of systems all over the world, including the satellite that's sending data to it. So when we say a system, it can be one system, it can be 3 systems, it can be 100,000 systems. But it's one whole, it's one boundary of systems. So one organization can have several different systems. And normally a information system owner is the person who's overlooking the direction of the system. They're not just looking at security, they're making sure that the system works as advertised, as it is supposed to operate. So they're making sure the users can get the proper data, If there's upgrades, it has to go through the information system owner. And then me, as a cybersecurity person, I have to work with the information system owner to make sure that if something needs to be signed off, I'll go to them. They got to make sure that they're in the know of whatever's going on, because a lot of times they're doing a lot of other things. So they have several departments underneath them. So they're basically like a high level manager who's making sure everything is going as it should. Now, I've been places where they would mix the program manager with the ISO, like they were synonymous with one another. So they would use them interchangeably. And he's saying an officer, okay, so security, their first security officer. Okay, so this is kind of like in line with what I currently do. What we call it is you might be talking about an information system security manager. It's what we call it in my industry. In the government sector, we call it information system security manager. And typically, information system security manager or a security officer, like the top person in security, they work as a liaison between upper management. That's like C-level execs. They have to do meetings with C-level execs like the CISO or the CIO. Those are the heads of agency, the director and stuff like that. And then they're a liaison between those guys and the people who are actually doing the work, like the firewall guy, the system administrator. You might have some security people who are on the security operations team, who are cybersecurity analysts, who are managing the traffic and looking at the TCP/IP traffic and look. They're the guys that are on the intrusion detection systems, making sure that if there's anomalies, we can do in a incident response if it's necessary. So you're going to be probably, I mean, you probably want to read the actual description of your job, but typically it sounds like what you're going to be doing is you'll be doing a lot of meetings. You'll be having meetings with the upper level execs and then going to maybe the users, operational users who have to use that system, and then also talking to the technical team. It's a lot of meetings, and you have to be able to communicate with all three of those, or all these different factions, because all of them speak kind of a different language. So you'll be talking to the C-level execs, and you got to be to the point. You got to be specific. You got to have your stuff together before you talk to them. You don't want to waste their time. C-level execs are extremely important. Usually, their time is important. They don't have a lot of time, so you want to get straight to the point and have your ducks in a row before you ever talk to them. And don't go off track. Just stick to whatever you're supposed to talk about. Managers, you'll be talking to upper level managers. These guys are focused on the operations of the system. They're not in the weeds. They just need to know that everybody has what they need to do their job. So their main function is resources. Do we have the time, money, and energy, the manpower to do this job that we're doing? So when they're talking to you, they'll talk to you. Those guys have plenty of time to talk to you, but you don't have to get too much in the weeds. You just basically need to summarize what's going on and simplify it to where they can understand it, because they're not usually super technical unless they come from that background. Then you got the technical guys. They're very pedantic. You got to be very specific with them. If there's a problem, you got to tell them specifically what the problem is. You can't talk around it. They don't know what you mean. A lot of times when I talk to them, I have to do some research before I even talk to them, because I got to be very specific about not only what the problem is, but what systems is it affecting. Like, I have a list of these IPs. Here's the list right here. Here's the host names for them. They have these users, and here's the problem that's affecting these systems in this boundary. Like, you got to be very in the weeds and very specific with them about. So your main job is going to be a lot of coordination between these different organizations. I would read the fine print on the description of the job, but sounds like that's what you're going to do. Is college or the military necessary for cyber? I would say neither one is absolutely necessary. Neither one's absolutely necessary, but both will help you a lot. Military and a military is a huge help if you're doing cyber. College is a huge help, but I've met many people who had neither or one or the other, and they did fine. I'm working with former vets right now. I'm working with people who never seen the military at all, but they have a degree. I've worked in the past with people who had neither, who were just very good at what they did, and came another whole nother route. So neither one is absolutely necessary for cybersecurity. I will say that usually experience is the one thing. Knowledge is there's no exceptions for it not. You always have to know the knowledge. Like you always have to have the knowledge and the skills to do the work. And experience, they don't care how you have the experience as long as you have it to do the work. But you don't have to be military. I know there's an impression like a lot of people who do cyber either have one or the other, um, or are working on one or the other, but you don't have to do it that way. They just want to know that you have the experience, and how you got it is irrelevant, to be honest. If you know how to do it, then that's what matters the most. If you've done it before, even better. Let me see here. Got some more stuff on TikTok here. Somebody says prior military here. I started in cyber when I got out and just finished my bachelor's. Congrats. It's very lucrative. Somebody else says Taylor. Taylor says 10 years military, no degree at AWS doing GRC. That's awesome. That's awesome. Do you live in Colorado? Yes. Do you have a CSSP? Yes. Let me see. Trying to do GRC. Figured I need more experience. Dice jobs don't really work. It's worked for me. I've gotten people contact me about Dice from Dice. Monster, probably the one that I get the most hits from. Monster and LinkedIn, but I still get contacted from Dice. Now I filled out on Dice.com. I filled out my entire profile on there. On all my profiles on Dice, on Monster, on LinkedIn, the ones that have the most success are the ones that I'm more active on, and the ones where I filled out my entire updated profile, and I get people contacting me constantly. That's what you want to do. Be active on there and fill out your entire profile until it says 100%. There's this bar on there that says how much of the percentage of your profile have you filled out, and I fill out the whole thing. And you got to make sure it's advertised. It's not advertised. You got to make sure it's publicly available, because there's another thing on there. On LinkedIn has it, Monster has it, and Dice has it, where there's a final step you have to do to make sure it's publicly available, because you can have it private, for whatever reason. When you put your stuff out there, you still have to go in the back and make sure it's publicly available to people. So Dice has worked for me. That's been one of the top ones I've used. And Monster, those are probably the biggest ones I've gotten actual jobs from. Tyrese says, I'm doing cyber apprenticeship that offers us a job after high school. During my senior year of high school, was wondering if I should still go to college if I get a return offer. Tyrese, here's what I would do. I would definitely take that job, and I would go to school at the same time. And the reason why is that you got the job. Congrats. That's good. Take the job. Take the money. But what you'll find is it's when you start to level up, it gets competitive. You're gonna be competing against people who have a degree and certifications. So at some point, you're gonna want to get now. You can do accelerated courses that are online, that are from accredited colleges, that don't cost that much. So you could do that while you're working a job. It will not be easy. You'll be working a job and going to school at the same time, but you can do it. If you're trying to level up, if you're just trying to chill, just take the job. Just don't go to college. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to. In this environment, I keep seeing people say, "Oh, you don't need to go to college," and I keep getting it on my feeds. People say, "Oh, you don't have to go to college anymore. Everything's different now." I'm in this field, and I'm just telling you, when you apply for a job, if you're trying to level up, you will be competing against people who have a degree. You'll be competing against people who have a couple degrees, and they have a master's degree and a bachelor's degree, or a bachelor's degree and another bachelor's degree and an associate's degree. You're competing against these people. So what I would advise you to do is take the job after high school, and then continue. You can do it online, however you do it. Continue with your degree through an accredited college. It just needs to be accredited. Now, if Yale, doesn't have to be Stanford, doesn't have to be any kind of special college. Just go for your. I would encourage you to do a bachelor's degree at least, because it's going to make you extremely competitive as you progress your career. There may come a time when degrees are really no longer necessary, and I would argue that they're not as necessary as they were before. I would agree to that. But what I'm saying is, if you're trying to level up, eventually you will compete against people who do have a degree. And if an organization sees your experience and somebody else's experience, but they see that this other person has a degree, they're probably going to take the person with the degree for that higher position. So I would say go ahead and do. That's what I would do if I were you. I mean, knowing what I know now, that's what I would do. But congrats on your progress. That's awesome. That's really great to hear that younger people are getting in there. Definitely keep going to college because it's still competitive out here, out in these streets. You're still going to be competing. Let me see. Got some more. I'm not going to be on here too much longer. College is not that bad either. Okay, Ethan says I got some people putting in their 2 cents in here. They said experience outweighs education, but degrees are typically required for most positions. College is not that bad either. You can attend WGU due to their self-paced program. Yes, they got self-paced programs, Tyrese, that you can take online that are accelerated courses that you do the coursework, you get through it. It's mostly you do it when you can, because they know that they're working with adults who already have a job. I would just encourage you to keep growing your profession if you're trying to level up. And what you'll notice when you get in there, you'll notice. Appreciate the advice. Yeah, yeah. What you'll notice is once you get in there, your peers, the ones who level up, have a degree. They have experience, but they have a degree. Ethan also says experience outperforms education. Absolutely. Um, yeah, experience above everything. So that's why I say take that job. That's really awesome what you're doing. Thoughts on cyber boot camps? A lot of those trying to get into cyber think that that's the way to start. In my opinion, I don't want to be negative, but in my opinion, boot camps are not enough, and I think they're overpriced. And I think you'd be better off just going to school. If you're gonna drop 5, 6, 8 grand on that to try to speed your way into a job. I mean, unless, like, if there's some kind of program at a job, an actual job, and they say, look, take this boot camp and then we'll give you a job or something like that, and it's not a scam, then maybe, you know. But if it's just, most of the boot camps I've seen or I've attended, paid for by the company I work for, they're like 8, 9, 10, 5K, and you'll go there and it's like a week, 2 week, whatever it is, and you learn a lot of stuff. It's cool, it's fun. I went to one, like a pen testing one, while many years back, and it was great. It was fun. I learned some stuff. It was good. They had the option of taking the CEH or whatever certification at the end of it, and they gave you like a little voucher, $400 or whatever, to whatever, $200 or whatever, to take the. That's cool, but from what I've learned, the thing that employers want is experience. They don't care that you went to a boot camp. They don't care. They're not going to ask about your security plus. I'm not trying to be negative here. I'm just saying that experience is the most important thing you can get. So if there's a way you can pay that 5K to get experience, that will be worth it. Get experience. Like, find a way to get experience. If you go to school, become a working student. If you're at a job already, find a way to make a lateral change in the IT department. Track the IT guy down and be like, "Hey man, can I shadow you? How did you get into this field? How do you fix these point of sale devices? What do you come in after work and work with the IT guy. Get experience any way you can, beg, borrow, and steal to get experience. Do whatever you can to get it because it's the most important piece. I'm not telling you don't get a listen. I have certifications. I have a degree. I have degrees. You should definitely get those. They're very, very helpful for money. But when you're trying to get your foot in the door, it's experience. They're gonna ask you when you get to the interview, they're gonna ask you about what you've done, not how many tests you took. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to dissuade you from this. This is a great career path, man. It's so secure. I'm getting job offers all the time. It's I'm listen. I got 99 problems, but a job is not one of them. I can get work, but experience is super important to get your foot in the door for this career path. It's worth it. It's worth it. Okay, let me see. Somebody said, Ethan says, tech is very rewarding if you are willing to put in the work and gain experience. Exactly. I 100% agree with that. So I'm going to have to decline your invitation to get in here because I'm about to get off this thing real soon. Right off the tick says, so GRC is in high demand and will it be in years to come? Yes, it will be. And somebody said, Wavy says, I want to get into this field, but I have no idea how to get started. I always tell people start where you are. Wherever you happen to be, start there. You can start there. Wherever you happen to be has an IT department. Wherever you are, there's a computer. There's a computer somewhere. You're literally staring at one right now. Like, you need to learn the basics of information technology. The information is free. You know exactly. It's like David Goggins says. He talks about people losing weight. He says, people know what to do to be successful, but they don't want to do it. They know exactly what to do, but they don't have the discipline to do it. If you really want to do it, you can. It's staring you right in the face. The information's free. The information is free. I have a free course right now that'll walk you through where to start. Where to start. It's basic as hell. You can YouTube. Don't even watch my stuff. Go to YouTube. My shit's free. Like, I get nothing from you going watching my free stuff. I don't even promote it. Go to YouTube and type in free IT courses, IT fundamentals. Like, you can learn the stuff for free. If you have a job, there's an IT department where you are. Beg, borrow, and steal to get into the IT department of wherever you happen to work. You can do it. Like David Goggins says, you know exactly what to do, but you're too afraid to do it. You don't have the discipline to do it. That means you don't really want it. I mean, be real with yourself. Be real with yourself. Let me see here. I have good knowledge of risk management framework with the Security Plus, but no job. I currently work in IT. What certifications or degrees? Let me start with this one right here. Is this the same guy? Wave. So dot wave and then wave over here says, I have a good knowledge of RMF and Security Plus with no job. So right now, the challenge is getting in the door. So your focus is like, I guess you don't have no job, you're not a student. This is really challenging. What I would do if I were you is look in the local area they're not going to say IT jobs, right? They're not going to be called IT jobs. They might be called Field Tech 1. It might be called data analyst. It might be called what's another name? Customer service, technical customer service. They'll usually there's a lot of jobs for like the local cable companies, the local wireless companies. I'm not talking about the sales clerk. I'm talking about the people who are working on the infrastructure, the people who are working on the actual installing stuff, installing wires. Those dudes who come in your house and install the network router, those guys, that's an entry level IT job. Those guys have to know a little bit about IT stuff, and they could pivot from that point to level up to the next IT level because they have to know a little bit about how to hook those things up. Those are the kinds of jobs you want to go after, Wave. Those are the kinds of jobs. You start off, it's all baby steps. Even me, having done this for many years, I'm still taking steps forward. I'm still working on myself, working on what I want to do with my career path. So I'm in the same boat. I'm still evolving. I'm still leveling up bit by bit by bit. But I've just been doing it a long time. Another alternative is to go into the military. I know that advice is like a slap in the face, but they'll give you a job. You'll travel the world. You can go to school for free. If you get sent overseas, um, if you get sent overseas, bro, listen, being sent over, it's not that bad. I mean, I've been to 15 countries, man. In the military, I went to Europe. I went to Italy. I went to Korea. I learned so much about myself and then so much about the world. I have a whole different I have a whole different idea of what this world is. Once you leave your comfort zone, you see the rest of the world. You see a whole different perspective on reality, and it opens you up to what humanity is really all about, good, bad, and ugly. You see beautiful things about the world. Um, One of the things I saw that changed my life was in Afghanistan. I was in Afghanistan, and when I saw how people lived there, I thought, like, I grew up poor. I had a rough life, but man, compared to the people I saw there, it made me realize how wealthy I was. That's a perspective that nobody can take away from me, and something that taught me a lot. It taught me to appreciate what I have. Um, Another thing, I went to old countries. Like going to a place like Italy made me realize how young America is. America's 250 years old or something. There's places in this world that are thousands of years old, and the food, man, going to Korea, like eating the food there in Korea was amazing. Going to Japan, eating the food there, amazing. It was just an amazing, life changing. It changed my worldview about everything. It made me realize. It made me put politics in perspective. That's probably one of the biggest things. One of the biggest lessons I learned is that I don't take it. I know it. I know the impact it has on our life. I realize that, but that's why I vote. I'm very serious about it. The local vote, the general election, all of it. I pay attention. Um, but what I realize is that some of the wars and conflicts that happen, it's not something that I necessarily wanted. It's it's something that's happening on a global scale that is out of my hands. And it taught me, don't worry about stuff you can't change. Focus on what you can change. Focus on what you can change. Don't worry about shit that you can't change. What are you going to do? Is worrying going to help? the economy is worrying going to help poverty, is worrying going to stop conflicts. It's not. Focus on the thing you can change. What you can do is you can vote. You can pay attention to what's going on. You can help your kids. You can help your family. Those are things you can change. That's why I do these podcasts, because I feel like there's some people on the precipice of changing their whole life, and I'm trying to be there. I'm trying to be a part of your journey by telling you, listen, if you do this one piece, this is what I did 15 years ago. If you do this one thing, it'll change your life. It changed my life. It could change yours. That's why I'm here. So one thing you got to do though is look at, like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? This little exercise of writing down 5 things you see yourself doing or being in the next 5 years is life changing. And then keep that paper around. Write it down and then keep that paper around and see what it says. See where you're at in 5 years. You got to work towards it, but where do you see yourself in 5 years? Think about it. Not just your career, not just whether you're going to get clearance, not just what knowledge you're going to get. That stuff you can include it, but I'm talking about your overall life, the most important things in your life, your kids, your family, your best friend, your well-being, your health. Like in 5 years, where are you? You know what to do, but are you going to do it? We all know the answer in our heart, but most of us don't have the discipline to do it.